Hey everybody, John Grimsmo here. So on Saturdays we put up Saga Saturdays, and on Wednesdays we put up either knife content or shop content or more generic kind of shop life stuff. So today being Tuesday, end of the day, Skye and Erik are still here, so we're going to touch base in our front shop talking about finishing, and specifically Skye is going to sharpen some Rask blades and show us how Rask blades are sharpened. Hello Skye.
Hello, hello.
Skye is now our Rask master.
This is a Tormek T8 with the stock kind of setup other than this LED light that we slapped on there.
Nice.
And it mostly does everything we want, if that makes sense.
Yep.
It's like 90% of the way there.
Okay. So it's got the stone on one side, aluminum oxide something.
Yep, and a 2-grit dressing setup where you actually dress the wheel to the grit of this dressing stone. So there's a coarse side and a fine side.
Okay.
We mostly just stick to the coarse side because the wheel kind of breaks down as you're sharpening anyways, and it smooths out over time. And we dress it pretty frequently. Since we're starting from like freshly tumbled blade, there's no edge at all when I'm starting, so there's quite a bit more material to remove than say if you're just sharpening a knife that's already got an edge on it. So we wear through this stone pretty quick. We have a couple different ones. We've got a silicon carbide wheel and a CPN wheel that we haven't really tried yet, just because this one works, but maybe we'll find something better in the future. I know people feel like this wheel is really slow.
Yeah.
From what I've heard from other people, but
Like slow to grind.
yeah, material removal rate.
Yeah, and silicon carbide might cut harder.
Yeah, but it's a coarser grit as well, just by default. So
yeah.
The finish will be worse, but.
So what are we looking at? This is a Tormek T8, kind of an off-the-shelf grinder, sharpener. We buy it from Lee Valley, but they're kind of sold everywhere. It's got the aluminum oxide stone on one side, a leather stropping belt with diamond compound on the other side.
I don't know if it's diamond.
It's whatever comes with it.
Honing compound.
Honing.
They don't really tell you what it is, but it works well enough.
Okay. I mean, we certainly have plenty of diamond compounds. We actually 3D printed this stand, 2 micron, 4 micron, 8 micron, 12, 20, 40, that the guys use for various polishing tasks. The cool thing with this sharpener, and I mean, Erik has been on the fence for buying one of these forever. Like, we've had it for what, 2-3 years?
Yeah, 3 years at least, yeah.
And before that?
It was just all grinder.
Belt sharpen.
Yep. Which is what I still do for the Norseman.
Right.
But the Norseman is just not great for that kind of setup.
Yeah, the Rask has
Recurve and all that.
such a traditional blade shape. I mean, look how it fits. It fits very well. Try doing that on the Norseman.
Yeah.
Nice. So it's got the built-in rest, and then Skye's got, he'll show us in a second, the way the blade is clamped into that fixture thingy.
Oh yeah. So the whole goal is to try and have kind of a similar distance between your edge of clamp to tip and edge of clamp to belly towards the front here.
Okay.
So kind of eyeballed it, and it's obviously it varies blade to blade ever so slightly
Based on how you clamp it.
how you clamp it and how the angles are off the machine as well.
Right.
Will affect it ever so slightly. And they're not all 100% the same. But yeah, it's very consistent as long as you're doing the right thing, if that makes sense. Something I ran into a bunch when I first started trying to learn how to sharpen on this is I wasn't clamping hard enough, and I was pressing really hard, and it was actually moving in the clamp and messing up the angle. So there's a couple different things you gotta watch out for like that.
To the over the shoulder here, the sky view. Sky.
Nice, I like that.
So light pressure, consistent. I mean, you want it to cut, but not too much, right?
Kinda, yeah. You kind of have to move your pressure around to get it to remove material in the areas you want, since the edge isn't perfectly consistent all the way across. And I'm only moving in one axis, really. Like I'm sliding and I'm rotating. Yeah, but I'm not curving whatsoever.
Interesting. and it's wet. It's just got a little bath of water there. So
Yeah, and that's just tap water.
and the wheel spinning away from the edge, not digging into it.
You can do it both ways though.
Yep. Yeah, you can mount this rail upwards and go like over top of it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and sharpen down.
Because these are made for sharpening chisels and all kinds of weird stuff, right?
Yeah, it's just a tool sharpener.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you do it the other way though, the rest is up here. So you're kind of like, I was pushing like in a weird
You tried it?
I didn't like it.
I've heard that people like the other position more when they're sitting down.
Yeah, if you're sitting and it's below.
Yeah, it's like way below you.
So because this is, like you said, a brand new edge, there's actual thickness to it. There's no like pointy edge, final bevel yet. So there's 10, 15 thou, whatever the original edge is that Skye has to sharpen down.
Yeah, so I have to establish the initial geometry.
Right.
And it kind of takes a bit of finesse to get there and have everything be even and crispy and look good by the time it's sharp. Whereas it's like you're reprofiling from a blind edge, basically.
Yeah.
You don't really have any.
You're flipping
Yep.
often.
Yeah, pretty much every pass I'm going side to side and trying to maintain even bevel height across the whole thing side to side.
How do you know, other than cut testing, how do you know when you're like through the center line?
So it's a kind of just practice by eye, but while you're sharpening, you can see the burr come up across the edge there. It's part of what this LED light really helps for.
I can see a glint.
Yeah, like there, if I push the water up, you can see it's starting to form right there, but it's not quite forming here yet.
Yeah, so you want to get a nice big unbroken burr
All the way across.
all the way across. And I like to get it, pretty thick and then go light.
Yeah.
Lighter and lighter after that to kind of
That definitely works
make
the
that
best.
burr.
Flip it back and forth.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do light passes to deburr the actual burr that you've created,
Right.
and then strop after. Whereas if you just get a big heavy burr and then go right to the leather wheel, you're gonna have a lot of trouble removing that burr in one go.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And it's not at as sharp of a point
Right.
as the thinner burr.
Got it. That makes sense, actually. See, I've had an Erik for 12 years, so I've never sharpened a knife, except for my kitchen knife at home.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just give these guys my knives. This is great. So Erik was actually just talking about getting another one of these.
Yep.
You use this to sharpen rasks too, like Skye does most of them, but
Yeah, if we have some extras, then I'll, do a couple at the end of the night. But yeah, if we had another one, then we could both do them
yeah.
at the same time. Or Gabe is getting proficient with the sharpening as well, so.
Yeah, he did 2 on Friday.
Okay, nice. And they look good.
I had to touch them up, but he did 2 on Friday.
Nice, way to go, Gabe. We'll get Gabe on video here soon enough.
Yeah.
He's gone home for the day. And then, all shop owners ask, what do you do with all those Uline catalogs they send you twice a month? Well, you do cut testing. That or phone books.
Yeah. But Uline is so ubiquitous.
Yeah. Every time they send a Uline catalog, we're like, why? Why? We use the website.
Yeah. So they just send it to me.
Nice. But yeah, you do your cut testing, and we'll get that in a second.
You had me slow and focusing because you were filming, and now this is like one of the most beautiful edges ever.
No, you mean every edge you make is the most beautiful edge ever.
Yeah, something like that. They're up to Grimsmo factory spec, we'll say. But this one's like
Personal
extra even. Well, even doesn't necessarily mean also very sharp. We'll see.
But yeah, it's really easy to push harder on one side with one hand or something than the other one. So you get a left-hand bias or a right-hand bias.
Yep.
So you have to learn yourself out of that.
It's weird watching it move so slow, like the rotation.
Yeah, I don't know how many RPM it is. I think
It's like 4? No, it's more than that.
I think it's like 30.
I wonder if it says 100 RPM.
100? Yeah.
Just every motor everywhere spins at like thousands of RPMs. Okay, so he's stropping now. By hand? You don't use the resty thing?
No, because these wheels are different sizes.
Yeah,
So
that's
even
true.
if you flip them around, you'd have to
Reset it up.
get it. Yeah, it would take time to get it perfect.
Okay.
You could. I don't necessarily know how much of an advantage there is to having it dead nuts perfect leather wheel to the stone wheel when I could also just do it by hand and
Yeah.
get it 90% of the way there. There's all kinds of different like theories on the best way to strop. Some people don't use a strop at all. They just deburr on stones and they're happy with that. Some people really like this is technically power stropping. So by doing this, I am convexing the edge a bit, but it's way faster and they're still damn sharp afterwards.
And the amount of convex is so...
It's very minimal, yeah.
That's why you want to get the burr as thin as possible before you go to the strop, so that it's easy to get it off without having to push or work at it and round the edge.
So I do a couple different positions now just to try and have it even across the entire edge while also matching the angle. I found that just doing a single position, and I'm also varying the pressure I'm putting on the wheel while I'm doing this. Single position tended to miss different spots because I wasn't matching the angle 100% by hand compared to what I was doing on the wheel. Now,
Moment of truth.
moment of truth indeed. And sometimes it is not a clean cut here, but right now it is.
Sounded good. Like you said, going slow to film.
Yeah, exactly.
So even with the extra weight of the thingy, you can still kind of feel and hear, you know.
I mean, I'm not pushing. I'm letting, this is pretty heavy. Like you
Right,
can see how much weight there is in that. It's like, this is all cast aluminum, I think, or cast zinc or something. But it's, I'm pretty much just letting it cut from the own weight of the handle.
So how do you know when you're done? Like what's in the paper? You can feel little dragging sections if they're missing something, or what?
Yeah, pretty much. You'll have like hitching if there's a fuzzy part of the edge left if you didn't remove all the burr.
So you're sweeping across the whole edge to feel.
Yeah, trying my best to at least. Sometimes it takes a couple tries to get it. Like I'm having trouble now getting the back to start cutting. But I think it's fine. I think I'm just fumbling it on the paper.
It's because you're on camera.
Yeah. So yeah, so I'm trying my best to get the entire edge. I can, there we go.
Are there situations where you go back to the stone and kind of start over?
Yeah, if I did something really wrong or didn't take enough material off in the first place to apex it, you do have to go back.
Yeah.
Or if you strop too much.
Too much, yeah.
And then you just round the edge and you have to go back and
Kill the edge entirely with the leather wheel if you tilt forward too much or press too hard or whatever. There's enough softness in the leather that it'll actually wrap up on top of the sharpened edge and kind of just remove it. But yeah, like this is plenty good. If I can get it to cut, start to cut. Yeah, okay.
Let's get some ASMR super close audio here.
So even though it's cutting that well, I'm still going to do a visual and kind of feel the edge, just to feel if there's any little last bit of burr left on it, because you can have a pretty sharp burr that still cuts great, but it's not perfect. Not a completely finished edge yet, if that's the case. There's a little bit on one side, so I'll actually go back. And you can kind of get feedback off the leather wheel as well, where you'll feel it grab, and you'll see little bits of the compound in the leather kind of jump up. Just like that.
Silent.
But yeah, sharpening is a huge rabbit hole, and people spend like hours on one knife.
Excellent. Any final thoughts?
No. Come back next time for Norseman.
Yeah.
All right. Will do. All right, boys. All right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
We've been doing a lot of videos in the machine shop lately, and I have to remind myself to come here and film all the cool stuff happening here too, because you guys are really good at what you do. You take our machine parts and you make them into beautiful art. Awesome. All right, guys. Later. Bye, Falcor.